Howdy. Welcome to the Texas A&M University College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences Peer Programs STEM Education Series. Today, Dr. Elizabeth Crouch will present Biomedical Sciences, Square One for One Health Education. Opportunities within the field of One Health are exciting and abundant. However, entering this career field requires hard work and dedication. Today, Dr. Crouch will describe how the biomedical sciences major can prepare one both academically and professionally in the pursuit of a One Health career. Welcome, Dr. Crouch.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me today. I'm going to give you an orientation to our Biomedical Sciences program, which is one of the majors in the College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. And so to begin with, I wanted to give you an overview of our mission. We have a mission to create a healthier future for both humans and animals through medical professions, biomedical innovation and discovery, global service, and outreach. So the Biomedical Sciences program is aimed at educating students who are not only pre-veterinary medicine, but also pre-medicine, pre-physical therapy, pre-physician assistant, pharmacy, nursing, etc. The students who choose to major in BIMS typically will have an interest in math, chemistry, biology, physics. These core sciences are typically the prerequisites for most of the professional schools that you might be interested in, and they're also going to be the lower level courses that need to be completed before moving into some of the upper level, what we call the fun courses: anatomy, physiology, microbiology, genetics, biochemistry, and others. Our students are very diverse. Almost 50% of our students come from ethnically diverse backgrounds. A quarter of our students, or over 500 of them, have a first generation attribute, which means that they are the first person in their household to go to college. And 1 in 3 of our students is from an underrepresented minority group. So we are a very diverse student population. We're also very large. We are the single largest undergraduate major on campus with 2,350 students this past fall. However, we do make it feel a little bit smaller because when you come in as a freshman, we have a student group, the Biomedical Sciences Association, that many of our freshmen join that has peer mentorship. We also put you in cohorts so that as you go through class, you begin to see the same people. And then there are certain strategies that we recommend for studying that include small group study to make it feel a little bit more personal. Most of our students are arriving with credit. We have students arriving with 0 credit that's for college, all the way up to 60 or even 70 hours of college credit. The average is about 18, and that's with AP and dual credit both. How do you get to biomedical science? What do you need to do if you're interested in becoming a doctor or becoming a veterinarian or any of the other things in the allied health sciences that we lead to? What you need to do is take as much math and science as possible. That is really very important. Do not skip your senior year math. If you have the opportunity to take calculus, even if you don't take the AP exam, go ahead and take that calculus class. If you have the opportunity to take AP biology or AP chemistry, go ahead and take those classes as well. AP physics is also another common one. And then take the exams and see how you do. It would not be uncommon for students to come in with credit for biology, for physics, sometimes for a chemistry course. Typically, if they do, it's 1 semester of chemistry, and then also coming in with a calculus credit. We also have students coming in with quite a bit of the liberal arts credits, and so I'll be addressing that in a minute. The other thing that you can be doing is you need to go ahead and, if you are able, start shadowing in the area that you're interested. If you can work in a vet clinic, go ahead and work in a vet clinic. If you have a family physician that allows students to work in the lobby or to shadow, then go ahead and try that. Same thing with local hospitals. That gets you in towards what you're interested in. It allows you to see what the job description is, but also what the lifestyle is. And be very inquisitive. Ask them what their hours are. Ask them what the hardest part of their job is. Ask them what it's like day to day in their position and the sorts of things that they're having to do. So it's not just the practice of medicine, but all the other things that go along with it, and find out what that is so you know if that's something that you're interested in.
Dr. Crouch, we have a question already,
Sure.
if you're ready. They want to know, is there a certain GPA or standardized test scores required for declaring as a BIMS major?
Okay, so for declaring as a BIMS major, there is not a standardized test score that we're looking for specifically. So our students come into Texas A&M as BIMS, and it's an open major, meaning we are not capped. So if Texas A&M accepts you as a student and you put biomedical science as your first choice major, then you will be listed as BIMS. So really the question is what is Texas A&M looking for? And so our average student in biomedical science has an SAT score of around 1160 or so, and our average ACT score is about a 26. So that should give you a ballpark of what you're aiming for, but those are not minimums that we set that you must reach. So as long as Texas A&M accepts you as a student, then you can be biomedical science.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you. The other thing that you want to add to your application, and you can really start doing this now, is you can start keeping track of all of your activities. So if you're in sports, how many hours a week outside of the school schedule are you performing that sport? If you have a job, how many hours a week do you work? If you're volunteering, how many hours a week or a month are you doing that? And then also, while you are volunteering at that vet clinic, for example, start keeping track of what you love, what you struggle with, because all of that can later on, 4 years down the line, go into your professional school application as well. So this is the list of courses that we commonly see coming in with AP and dual credit. And so I've listed out the dual credit course numbers, which is what the community colleges will call them. And I've also listed out the AP tests that we typically see. I don't have the chemistry listed up there because this major has 6 semesters of chemistry. You have a year of inorganic, a year of organic, and a year of biochemistry. So more often than not, our students go ahead and start chemistry with Chem 101. If you are going to do chemistry dual credit, you need to make sure that it's the chemistry for science majors, because some community colleges teach one that is for non-science majors. So make sure that it's the right chemistry course. And if you are moving towards an associate degree, if you're at a high school where your dual credit is going to lead to an associate's degree, please make sure that you are going for the associates in science, not the associates in arts. That way, the sciences that you take will be the correct ones. The liberal arts classes that we typically see coming in are Englishes, history, government. If you have a choice between economics or psychology, for our major, psychology is worth a lot because that's going to be a prerequisite on many of the professional programs like the nursing program, the PA program, the veterinary program. So the psychology is beneficial. It also will count as a social science in the Texas State core curriculum. If you want to go to community college first, then our program also has 2+2 articulation agreements. What these are a facilitated admissions agreement that gives you the first 2 years of college at community college, and then provided you follow that articulation agreement, then you apply to biomedical science to enter in the junior year. That allows you to stay home. For some people, they have a job at home that allows them to continue that job for a couple years. And it also gives you a smaller, more intimate start to your college experience, because typically community college courses are going to have class sizes of 30 to 40 students. So that is a great way to start. And if you are interested, the information is on our website. We do have 14 articulation agreements that are posted. We have 3 more in the works. And if your community college is not listed, then as long as you follow one of the ones that is listed, there is a common course numbering throughout the entire state of Texas that covers those courses. If you're coming from out of state, then the Texas A&M website, the transfer admissions website, does have a equivalency matrix that you can use that's located there. And they also have admissions counselors that are available in a chat room and that you can contact by phone if you have questions about what you're taking in your home institution.
We have another question
Okay.
from Broadus ISD, and they're asking about retention rates. So they want to know how many freshmen stay in the program, how many juniors and senior level, or how many make it to the junior and senior level.
Right, okay, good. So for most biological sciences and BIMs, it would fall under that. The retention for the freshmen is from freshman year to senior year is typically around 40%, and we do fall into that category. What that really means is that 60% of freshmen will get into a biological science major, and while they don't leave Texas A&M University, they do change their mind about what they want to do in their academic career. So we do graduate about 330 students a year. Last year we had a record high for the recent years, and we graduated 365, and I have about 1,000 students in my junior senior class right now. Typically we have about 750 freshmen that come in each year. And so approximately a third of those are going to stick around and actually graduate with us, almost a third to a half, somewhere in there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this gives you an idea, and maybe this is kind of along the same lines as the question with retention. So when we look, one of the statistics that we like to look at is out of all of the Aggies on campus that apply to medical school, dental school, or veterinary school, who is getting in. And so these are our statistics from the last academic year. And out of all the Aggies that went to veterinary school, for example, 42% of those students were coming from the Biomedical Sciences program. 41% of them were coming from our program that went to dental school, and then 39% of the Aggies that went to medical school came from Biomedical Sciences. So in terms of choices of major at Texas A&M, we're a very strong choice for preparing our students in both the human medical endeavors as well as the veterinary medical endeavors. This gives you an idea of the curriculum. I'm going to boil it down for you because there's a lot of words on there. So the biomedical science curriculum is a 120-hour curriculum, and most Bachelor of Science degrees are. The first 2 years are typically your basic sciences as well as your state core curriculum. Our basic sciences are those prerequisite courses for professional school. So it's a year of biology, it's the 2 years of chemistry, a year of physics, and a calculus course at the minimum, and then you fill in with the state core curriculum. Then in your junior senior year, you have to take anatomy, physiology, microbiology, genetics, 2 semesters of biochemistry, and 26 hours of biomedical science directed electives. I like to call those the ology courses. So those are things like virology, parasitology, pharmacology, and then we also have things like wildlife diseases, animal nutrition, advanced human genetics, and others that a student can tailor the degree. And that's really the beauty of this degree. You can get in it and you can change your mind about what you want to do. And as long as it's still in the medical professions, then you can get electives in those science electives that lead to that. So that's also where we pull in students that are perhaps interested in public health and maybe working for the CDC, or they're interested in healthcare administration. They don't want to be the doctor, but they maybe want to boss those doctors around and go into healthcare administration. So those electives can tailor your degree and allow you to move into those positions. You also may ask yourself, why do you need so much of those basic sciences? Why do I have to have inorganic and organic chemistry? Well, chemistry is the basis of biology, it's the basis of genetics, and it's also the basis of physiology. So when you're doing physiology, you are doing biochemistry. You might ask yourself about the physics. That's probably the least popular class of all of our students, but you need physics if you're interested in doing nuclear medicine, which would include things like radiation oncology. You need physics if you're interested in sports medicine, physical therapy. So you're using physics and you have to know the mechanics to do that. If you're going to be an orthopedic surgeon, you need physics. If you're interested in working with eyes, so you're interested in optometry or ophthalmology or any diseases of the eye, then again, you're going to be using physics. So our students do have to have an entire year of physics, and that is a prerequisite for veterinary school, medical school, dental school, etc.
Speaking of your professional schools, they'd like to know if you have numbers about graduation rates or success rates of students coming from Texas A&M Biomedical Sciences in their graduate school.
Okay, so those numbers are a little bit harder for us to track because they do go to so many diverse types of schools. But in general, once a student is in professional school, so let's say you get to veterinary school, then typically they're going to have a graduation rate in the high 90s. So most of the time you're going to maybe have 1 or 2 students that don't graduate, and typically it is not because of academics. There may be some other things going on. So the success rate once you actually get to your graduate program is very high. Then the last part of this talk, I wanted to give you some of the kind of what I call the fun things that you can do in biomedical science that are in addition to just that 120 hours. So built into the 120 hours and in those electives, you do have the opportunity to do internships, you have the opportunity to do research, and we do have both a biomedical research certificate and a Spanish certification. So what you see on the screen right now is the biomedical research certificate, and this is designed to allow a student to spend 4 years learning the scientific process. So in your freshman year, you are being mentored by sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are teaching you scientific methodology. How do you come up with a hypothesis? How do you do a literature background search and then design an experiment around that? And then in your sophomore year, you really put some teeth into that design and you begin to look at the techniques that are going to be needed to get into the laboratory. Your junior and senior year, you're mentoring those freshmen coming up behind you, and then you also are doing the actual research. And by your senior year, you typically are going to write an undergrad thesis or contribute to a paper that laboratory is going to publish. So that is very powerful on your application to professional school and also on a resume. And that biomedical research certificate is also going to be denoted on your transcript. So that is something that if students are interested in, then we'd be more than happy to tell them about that and get them into that program. We also have the Spanish certification program, studies abroad, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about our vet enrichment camp. So the Spanish certification program is designed so that students can be starting at the alphabet and know no Spanish or be heritage speakers. And so we do some testing to figure out where students are on that continuum, and then we move them forward from there. As part of the certificate, they're required to shadow in the biomedical environment where they're actually using Spanish, and they do this after they have a medical terminology course that's in Spanish. They're also required to study abroad. So a lot of students really like that because it is actually in their program that they have to study abroad, and they are required to go to a Spanish-speaking country. And that is solidifying their language skills. And if they have an opportunity to shadow while they're there, then that's even better. And some of our study abroads do have that opportunity. So along with the Spanish certification, we have a study abroad that goes an entire fall to Costa Rica. We have a study abroad that can go up to an entire summer in Spain. And so both of those are very popular. Additionally, we have studies abroad to Thailand and Bulgaria and Germany. And the Germany trip goes twice a year. And then we have a study abroad to South Africa for our students who are interested in pre-veterinary medicine. And you actually go abroad with some of the veterinary students and some of the veterinary faculty. So that one is also a very popular one for our students. Then the veterinary enrichment camp that I want to tell you about is an opportunity for you to come to Texas A&M in the summer after either your sophomore year in high school or your junior year in high school. And at the vet camp, you spend Tuesday through Friday on campus, you spend the night in the dorms, and then you spend those 3.5 days doing activities in the College of Veterinary Medicine. And we introduce you to the full breadth of veterinary medicine. So not just small and large animal practice, but all the different avenues that veterinary medicine can take. And you have interaction with faculty, your counselors are current vet students, and then you develop a presentation that you give at the end to each other as well as to your parents that are at the final luncheon. Information about that is currently on our website, and deadlines will be coming up very quickly. Typically, those deadlines are at the end of February or early March, so if you're interested, you might want to go ahead and go on the website to look. It does require letters of rec and a transcript, and it does require a minimal amount of shadowing in a veterinary clinic, or something that is similar using animals. So if you have a family farm, FFA, you can volunteer at the SPCA or your local humane society as well. So any of those activities, and that information is on our website. Lastly, in our major, we do have the ability for students to participate in internships, including one called the Public Policy Internship Program. I put the website there so that if you are a Texas A&M student, regardless of major, you can participate in that program. And it allows you to go either to Austin or to Washington, D.C. and work in an area in biomedicine where you are helping to determine policy in either healthcare or something else along those lines. And so a lot of times our students are assisting congressmen and senators, or they are helping out with background research for different publications. So that's a very exciting thing to do, and our students also participate in that.
So we have another question.
Sure.
And they'd like to know, besides your study abroad and maybe the 485s, are there opportunities for students to have some hands-on experience or shadowing perhaps in a clinical environment, whether veterinary or medical?
Yes. So the vet school has 2 working hospitals. They have a large animal clinic and a small animal clinic. And so they do hire student workers. They don't typically have shadowing because they do have their 4th-year vet students who are also working there, and they also have the 3rd-year vet students who are beginning rotations. So their student population that's already in the clinics is very high. However, they do sometimes have opportunities for people to get hired on. The best thing that you can do for shadowing, whether it's here in this town or in your hometown, is to contact the different veterinarians and find out who allows students to shadow and to work in the clinic. A lot of times the shadowing or the volunteering is a starting point, and a lot of times it's very basic. You get to walk dogs, you get to clean out cages, so it's really not very glamorous, but that is a part of veterinary medicine. And it also allows you to begin to see procedures and to begin to see how the office runs. And then if you do make a good connection with that veterinarian, then that might be a moment then that you can ask if you can make something that's a little bit more formalized in terms of your volunteer hours and your shadowing.
And what about in the medical professional, human medicine?
The human medicine is a little bit harder because of HIPAA rules. And so oftentimes I have students on that start either at their local hospital, because a lot of times you can be a candy striper, or you can volunteer at the different nurses stations or even the visitor center as kind of a foot in the door. And then as you begin to know people and begin to meet some of the doctors and the other people, then that allows you to ask about positions where you can volunteer. They also may have an age limit, so sometimes you're not allowed to until you're 18. So if you are in a senior class, then you may be old enough to go ahead and start volunteering actually, in a more clinical setting rather than just kind of the runner type setting. Another good place to do volunteering in the human sector would be in things like nursing homes. That's a great way to do that. And also I'm finding that more and more, many of our students are getting some sort of certification. They're either becoming a certified nurse assistant or a CNA or a pharmacy technician, or even in the veterinary medical side, a veterinary assistant. Those give you some credentialing that also open doors for you, and so that's a good way to do that as well.
All right, thank you. Great.
Okay, are there any other
Not
questions?
yet.
Okay, well then I wanted to also tell you, because we do have a few moments, about the research and kind of expand on that a little bit. In addition to the Biomedical Research Certificate, we have students who choose to do research in the laboratories kind of outside of the realm of the certificate. You can get college credit for that, and you can choose any of the professors that are in the College of Veterinary Medicine. And one of the nice things about that, because the CVM does translational research, then we have people who are doing research in conjunction with MD Anderson and with the A&M Health Science Center. And so there are human research endeavors in terms of interest, as well as the veterinary medical. So this is a really nice thing because it allows for breadth in your opportunities. And again, this is something that helps you when you apply to professional school, because not only have you sat in a classroom and learned something or maybe done the laboratory, but you've actually been in a laboratory and experienced science and actually done something that kind of solidifies your knowledge and your understanding of that material. So we always like to emphasize that. We also like to emphasize any kind of summer internships that you can do. So there are a lot of universities, Texas A&M included, that include summer undergrad research programs, summer volunteering programs. So for example, there is a DeBakey summer program that allows students to shadow physicians, do rounds, they do go to poster sessions, they go to research presentations that medical students that are doing research present, et cetera, that are down in the Houston area. So there are all sorts of programs. Dallas, again, the Dallas area is going to have quite a bit of programs associated with UT Southwestern that allow you to get in and do some summer experience, either with the volunteering or on the research side of things. So those are very helpful. The other thing that I want to emphasize to you is that it is never too early for you to start exploring your careers. And it is okay if you are undecided to want to shadow both a human physician and a DVM or a veterinarian. That is okay. A lot of students will say, well, I've got to pick one, and then if I change my mind, then all of that's wasted. It's really not wasted. How you work with a client and how you communicate is extremely important. And you have to do interviews to get into med school, and you have to do interviews to get into vet school. And a poor interview can actually sink you in your application. So those communication skills are extremely important. So volunteering in and of itself allows you to do that, even if you decide to change your mind as to which type of patient you're going to be treating. The other thing that's important is for you to think about why you want to do veterinary medicine. Why do you want to do human medicine? Everyone who goes into those professions wants to help people and loves pets, if you're on the veterinary side. So it has to be something a little bit more than that. It has to be something that excites you and allows you to go to that volunteer position or that work every day and makes a difference in your life and allows you to make a difference in the lives of others. So what is that thing? And if you've wanted to be a veterinarian since you were 5, that's very hard to articulate, but you're going to eventually need to do that. So you want to start thinking about that now. Maybe start journaling about it, journal about things that you are struggling with, journal about things that you love, things that you maybe don't like so much, because sometimes there's some things that become barriers to you. And it may be that a barrier is what makes you change your mind on your profession. That's okay too. But there may be other things that are defining moments for you and that things just really click, and you need to be able to put those defining moments into words. That's what will come across in your interview and in your essay when you apply both to Texas A&M and to any kind of professional program.
All right, I have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
One is there an advantage to taking the SAT versus the ACT when applying for college?
Okay. When applying to Texas A&M, no, from the biomedical science standpoint. If you were going to apply, for example, to Biomedical Engineering, then there may be some minimum test scores that they're looking for in the math, and so there may be a preference, and so typically those are going to be indicated on individual school websites. So really what's important is just that you have an entrance exam for them to kind of base your credentialing off of when you're applying to school. And then of course in the state of Texas we have the top 10% rule. So if you are not going to be in the top 10%, that does not preclude you from coming to Texas A&M, nor does it preclude you from coming to biomedical science. 70% of our students coming in are top 10%. That means that 30% are not. So the things that you're going to be doing if you're not in that top 10% are going to be, keeping track of your volunteering, your jobs, where you are spending your time and what you are doing outside of the classroom, and then including as much of it as possible. You can't put too much. there is always room for you to just list everything out so that you can get the maximum amount of score points when they're reviewing those applications.
All right. And then our next one is, within the BIMS program, will there be preparation for GREs and interviews, professional school interviews?
That's a very good question. So we have what I like to call intrusive advising. We like to see our students at least once a semester, but I typically have students that are coming in 2 and 3 times a semester to make sure that they're on track, not only with their academics, but with their professional school goals and applications. So while we personally don't do the mock interviews, we will keep track with you to help you with your application process in terms of the prerequisite courses. And then on campus, there is a Texas A&M Career Center, and there's also an Office of Professional School Advising. Both of those offices assist students not only in their interview skills, because they do mock interviews, and they also help with building resumes and that sort of thing, and they also will help with summer internship programs and even jobs. So if you're going into pharmaceutical sales and there's a pharmaceutical company on campus, they can help you with that interview process. But then the professional school advising office helps students with their application packets. So for med school, for example, they have in the fall a seminar series where students go and learn about the application process. Then in the spring, they help them build that application packet, gather their letters of recommendation, and come April, they're ready to go with that application. The application cycle then typically opens May 1st for the Texas Medical and Dental School Application Service, and at that point, they're ready to go and they have their packet already built, and it's simply a matter of entering it into the computer. So those sources of help are on campus, and we do refer students as they move through the program at the point that it's time for them to go start seeing those resources.
I have one final question, so it looks like, and they want to know what career opportunities are available if I don't want to go to professional school?
Okay, another good question. So Biomedical Sciences is designed for you to go on typically to some other kind of training. So even if you're not going to professional school, then most of the time in BIMS, as well as any biological science, biology, biochemistry, then you're typically going to find some sort of training program that you want to do. So let me give an example. We have students that want to become a paramedic. So you can't just graduate with a BIMS degree and then go be a paramedic. You're going to have some sort of training along the way, first as an EMT and then as a paramedic. If you want to go into medical technology, which is another popular one, then there's some training that goes with that. So most of it's going to be in the biological science field. So like I said, there's some healthcare administration, which is the business side of things. There's public health, epidemiology. Those are common ones for our students to go into. Research, so for students who are interested in working in a research laboratory. We also see them going into pharmaceutical sales in the pharmaceutical industry. We've had students that have gone on to work in the device industry with biomedical devices, pacemakers, things like that. We've had students that, like I said, do the medical technology, EMT, paramedics, veterinary technology, radiation technology. So all of those are going to require some sort of training afterwards, but the BS in biomedical science will get you a good basis and a place to jump off.
Perfect. All right. Well, it looks like that about wraps it up for us today. If you'd like to learn more about STEM or veterinary science or other One Health type careers or education, we encourage you to visit our website at peer.tamu.edu. And we look forward to seeing you next week when Dr. Mark Stickney will present to us about some of the interesting aspects of veterinary medicine. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.